I'm going to be honest with you guys. I just want to glaze this game for about 15 to 20 minutes. This is Remnant from the Ashes, and it's probably one of my favorite shooting games I've ever played, and I never heard of it. No one recommended it to me. I didn't see a YouTube video about it. It just was on sale, and I clicked to check out what it was about. And I was honestly like very uncertain, but the Soulslike tag is one of the things that got me interested, because I love Elden Ring, Demon Souls. I haven't played the Dark Souls games yet, but I plan to eventually. I'm still working on rebeating Elden Ring right now. But anyways, I wanted to play something where I was shooting, and this caught my eye, mainly that it has very positive reviews. And then I was reading the reviews on it on Steam. They were kind of mixed, but basically, when a game for the Ultimate Edition is only $10 on Steam, you might as well give it a shot, you know? And I didn't want to rush and buy Remnant 2 as well, because that was an extra $20. But I think within 4 or 5 hours of playing this game, I was enjoying it so much that I went ahead and purchased Remnant 2. And this is one of the few games, like, once I started playing it, I played it nonstop, like start to finish, and then went from like one DLC to the next. And altogether, I put in like 30 hours on this game, and I could play quite a bit more, but since I've beat all the story, and the only thing I'd be doing at this point would be like grinding out gear, I'd rather just move on with the story into Remnant 2. The story is, you know, it's a horror kind of apocalyptic type story. It's not super deep, but it's also not convoluted. So it's kind of easy to stick with and easy to, you know, get the gist of what's going on. And it serves its purpose, but I wouldn't say it's like the main draw of the game. And I don't know, I'm about to start playing Remnant 2 actually. So maybe in Remnant 2 the story becomes like amazing. But for now it's like it serves its purpose. What really stands out in this game though is the gameplay. Like, it is such a fun shooter, and it becomes even more fun when someone joins you, which, let's see, the game came out in August 2019. So when I played, basically if I did a public game, within 10 to 15 minutes usually someone else would join my game every single time I played, anytime I played it as well, you know. So by just turning on the public setting, you can almost guarantee the opportunity to play co-op. And it never hurts to have an extra person, because they can revive you. And if I've had some teammates that were pretty bad, and you operate on like a shared health recovery resource, I guess is the best way to say it. So basically, like your own healing potion thing, which is called like a dragon's heart, you can use that to heal yourself or to revive an ally. So if you have an ally that keeps dying and you keep reviving them, you're using up your resource that could be used to heal yourself. And I hate to say it, but every once in a while you get a person that, like, they just don't understand the boss mechanic or something, to where it's like, just leave them. Just leave them and finish the boss yourself, because you're gonna lose the boss fight over this person. And that's, you know, just the way it goes sometimes. So I'm going to get into some gameplay here in a minute. I just wanted to kind of do the intro with the cinematics so you can get kind of the vibe of the game before we get started. So a little fact, there's 28 bosses in this game, which can be encountered randomly in the game's survival mode or throughout the campaign. And the campaign, all the maps are procedurally generated, so every time you replay it, it's not going to be the exact same layout of the levels. So that's kind of cool. It adds to the replayability, and I played it all the way through normal, and then I think I started again on hard, and I beat the base game and about halfway into the expansion. So speaking of the expansions, you definitely want to get those, because one of them unlocks the survival mode and an additional area that's kind of like a swamp zone with a few bosses in there. And then the second one you definitely like almost have to get if you're planning on playing Remnant 2 next, because it continues the story and it has a really cool biome and like these rat people. And the bosses are a lot more difficult. So if you didn't find the base game bosses challenging enough, which there are some easy ones and there are some hard ones. It also depends on how much you cheese, because you can definitely cheese a lot in this game. But the second DLC has some really challenging, like almost frustratingly so, bosses that you almost definitely need people to be cooperating with you on that, because they're just like, they can become headaches. But that said, I enjoy that kind of gameplay where you actually feel a sense of accomplishment when you beat a boss, not just like you run into a boss and it's like, oh yeah, I'll pass it on my first try because this game is super easy. So let's get into the gameplay. So this is footage from doing the survival mode for the first time, which I'd never tried, but it was really fun. You start out with, I think, $1,000, and you have to basically pick a loadout. And I'm guessing if you beat the bosses, you end up getting more money and stuff, and then you can upgrade and try to make it to the next round and the next round and see how far you can go. I can definitely see myself playing this on the Steam Deck, like to kill some time, and it randomizes like what level you're gonna go to and what boss you're gonna fight, and it's pretty cool. To do this mode though, you do need to buy the Swamp DLC. I forget the name of it, but the Swamp one, the first one, to get this mode specifically. And if I do come back to this game, it's definitely going to be for the survival mode, because I think this is a pretty cool way to play that gets you out of your kind of meta build that you built. Because in the game, you grind out resources. It's not like you're like just grinding to get these resources, but you do have to get like iron and galvanized iron and like these different things. And you get it fairly quick, but they are limited resources to where you're kind of going to be pushed into only upgrading a few of your weapons to the end game. Similar to Elden Ring, it's like these will get you up to level 8 and then you'll get up to level 14, and I think it tops out at like 24. But yeah, like I said, there's 28 bosses in this game, and this is one of them from that DLC. And I actually never encountered it in my playthroughs. I don't know if I like missed a turn somewhere, but I guess it was an optional boss because I did not recall seeing this one before. This was also the first time I played in a while because I've been pretty heavy on Guild Wars 2 lately, so I'm out of my groove. I just want to say that before the inevitable happens, you know? Yeah, for me, this is pretty much peak gaming. Like, oh shit. I don't know what this boss is gonna do, and I'm recording this. Let's give it a shot, you know? But, like I said, I know I'm trying to excuse myself, but I was out of practice. Give me a break. Alright, so this is, actually one of my favorite areas. It's the starting area of the campaign, and man, I really was digging this, like right off the bat. That's like a really cool setting, you know? So yeah, you start the game out, you have a primary weapon, your secondary, and then you get 3 of those dragon hearts. Trying to think when you actually get those. It's pretty early, and those are basically like your health flask if you're coming from a Souls game. It's crazy too how this game it plays into the Soulslike with the dodges and the rolls and the like. A lot of the mechanics are similar to a Soulslike. It's definitely not as hard, but I will say there are some bosses that definitely give you, a Dark Souls vibe where, man, there was one, I think in the swamp. I think it's the final one in the swamp. Man, that one, I bet you I did that one like over 20 times before I passed. And that every time I passed, I had help. So there's definitely some really challenging ones in this. And then there's another one. There was another one with a lot of bosses, but that's a different gun that I'm using right there. And it has a special ability where it like basically sends them to the void or something for 4 seconds. And just makes it to where they can't do anything. And then the Tommy gun, of course. There's a pretty good variety of different kinds of guns. There's that coach gun is kind of like a shotgun. Then, of course, the crossbow, which is classic. If you want to get that what's his name? Daryl. Can't think of his last name. Daryl from Walking Dead. Do the crossbow. I ran the sniper rifle most of the time, but anyways, all of your guns can be equipped with like a special ability, and you unlock more of those throughout the game. And I feel like you're constantly unlocking something in this game, whether it's a new gun or a new ability or trinket. I think I have something like, I'd say like 15 different options for special abilities on guns, and you can swap them out on whichever gun you want. There are some guns though that they have like a special thing. Oh, there's an example of, man, those turrets you can cheese with a lot. Because if you set them up in a choke point, basically the enemy won't get through. But yeah, the gun that I did max out was the sniper, because especially on boss fights, sometimes there's like a short window where they expose their weak point, and that sniper is what I found to be the best for like getting the most amount of damage out. And this is probably, maybe 15 minutes later, somebody ends up joining me. And you can tell he's newer because he only has, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of the dragon flask. So he's likely on his first playthrough with that character. Because usually if somebody's... And you can tell kind of by looking at the gear he's wearing. It's pretty basic, and it's armored. Because my guy, he wears, I think it's called like adventure gear, where I basically just have really high magic find. I think I have like a 30% bonus rarity chance whenever I am killing stuff, but I don't have a whole lot of defense. And then there are some like really cool sets that you can get that are like, I don't know, like super armored and stuff. That there's some pretty cool looking armors you can get, and usually those are from like boss fights and stuff. But this is like not really a boss, but just like a challenging dude. Sometimes these kind of guys just pop up. Not necessarily that guy in particular, but you'll be going through a bunch of trash mobs and just this one asshole will show up, And so I did mean to mention earlier too, when you're playing with other people, basically the difficulty or the amount of health the enemies have will go up proportionately. So with 3 people, like everybody becomes a little bit harder to kill. Like, whereas when I was playing by myself, you could see I could just like one-shot a lot of stuff. And now it's like, okay, I need to really put in some effort. That dog is a really popular ability a lot of people get. And those abilities, so they get charged as you use the weapon that they're attached to. But yeah, this is me being stupid and stepping out in the middle of nowhere and getting everybody killed. But yeah, the dogs are cool. You have to... There's a lot of little like secret things that you can look up on Wiki or something where you can unlock, and like this is just like a random appearance of an item, and I don't know what that does because that was a new item and I didn't actually go check. But there's a lot of different rings and trinkets and stuff that, like, one thing that I have makes it to where, oh, this is the ritual. You have to always do the ritual of the tea bag ritual. Whenever you go through any doors, you got to do the tea bag, and when they first show up, you got to do that. That's basically saying hello. Oh, and that I just picked up, that was I don't even know how to say it, simulacrum? Simulacrum? I don't know. Anyways, you take it to a lady at the, back at like the home base area, the hub world or whatever. Oh, so you got to do the ritual. Now everybody knows it's good. You take those simulacrums or whatever, and you can exchange them for either like a max upgrade, like the final upgrade on an item, I believe, or you can get another dragon heart. So I already have 8. So usually when I was playing, usually 8 was fine. I don't think I hardly ever used all of those up, because there's also a generous amount of the meeting stones or whatever. It's basically like in Dark Souls, the campfires, and it gives you back full health, full ammo, all that stuff. And ammo, sometimes you'll run out, but for the most part, usually there's ads in these boss fights that'll drop ammo. So usually you can get by on that, but if you don't, you can also just like buy little ammo boxes, like in the game. There's no microtransaction bullshit in this game, so that's fucking awesome. In this day and age, 0 microtransactions, like, thank you. But yeah, there's a button for an ammo box. There's also like a healing, but it's like a heal over time, and it's a smaller amount. And then there's a couple things you can use, like boosts. See, we got it. We messed up by staying in that first room. But see here, I just like, that's on bosses like these that are melee, if you can get them to go through a doorway where you can block the doorway with these turrets, it's like, man, it's super cheesy, but it works. And see, like right there, the guy went down, but it's like, nah, like just leave him and get him when you can. Don't always be rushing to revive people, because a lot of times that'll be what makes you fail. But a boss like this, he's way harder when you're solo. Like, I think the first time I encountered one of these, I failed several times, and then finally somebody showed up. I might have beat him, but like right now my weapons are basically maxed out to where I'm doing a lot more damage, and that other guy with all the extra little health bars, he's probably got maxed out stuff too. Like, he's probably beat hard mode too. So you can tell basically by how many health bars or health dragon hearts or whatever those things are. But and you can see his gear is he looks pretty cool. So, but yeah, when you're on your first playthrough, the game is even on normal. And I wouldn't recommend going hard right off the bat, because hard usually assumes that you already have a maxed out weapon. So if you do play on hard, they're basically assuming you have a maxed out weapon, and then it's going to be difficult even though you have a maxed out weapon. So if you went in to hard off the bat with no maxed out weapons, it's going to be like extremely hard. So definitely play it on normal first. I know you might want to jump the gun, but this boss is so cool. This is definitely one of the coolest bosses in the game, and I think it's not necessarily guaranteed that you will encounter him. Also, when you're playing through the campaign, like if you beat a boss, it's gone for your playthrough, but if you go into like somebody else's world, you can fight it again. Or if you re-roll your campaign, which basically would start it over, but you could start it over either at a different difficulty, and I think there's 3 levels of difficulty. And I beat the first 2, the normal and the hard. But like I said, hard's manageable when you have a full loadout, and you might need to start like actually using armor and stuff, or at least upgrading your armor, because I forgot about that. Yeah, you also need to upgrade your armor using, I don't know if it's iron as well, but you basically collect these like iron and little materials to get your stat increases over time, and it follows you like pretty naturally to where by the end of the game you'll be maxing out. And I think the first playthrough, by like hour 14, I was done. 12 to 14, I think. And I was actually surprised. It was pretty short experience. But I will say, man, I was just playing it and playing it. Like, I was really enjoying every minute that I played. And when I was done, I was like, okay, like, let's keep playing. Like, I didn't feel like, you know, not doing it anymore. But the second DLC, you actually do have to. I mean, if you have it, you can just start off there, I guess. But it is meant to be played after the first. See, there's a weak spot exposure on his chest. Usually it's pretty obvious where the weak spot is on bosses. But one of my trinkets makes it where when I use a dragon heart, it also removes status effects. So if I'm burnt or poisoned or chilled or any of those, or corrupted, or I think those are all of them. But anyways, yeah, that's like some of your trinkets do different things like that. Because otherwise you have to take like an antidote with you or some like little item that cures, like bandages cure bleeding, etc. But this is a good example of when one person goes down and then everybody goes and tries to heal them and then everybody else ends up dead too. But anyways, that's about all I have to say without just rambling. This game is freaking awesome. I think everybody should give it a shot. It's a great shooter. It's good fun. It's super affordable, and I like the game.